will it affect presumptive President Duterte, who the winner is in the U.S.?
Right. I think the folks in Hollywood are making all of this scenario building with Trump and Duterte probably meeting. But of course, for us, I think Duterte is definitely not a Donald Trump. I think preferably for the Philippines, Hillary will be the best one.
Okay, why is that?
First of all, her huge experience, our foreign secretary position in the past, during the time of her husband, Bill Clinton, she had all of these contacts that she developed around the world. I think she...
So in terms of global policy?
Yes. And second, relations. I think she's a little bit critical of China in a way that is good for us. And my sense is that if Hillary wins, that means more assistance to us. That means more clarity on how far they're willing to go. One of the biggest debates right now in Washington, D.C. is that should they include the Scarborough Shoal as part of our mutual defense treaty, as a deterrence against further Chinese aggression. And the Obama administration position is this, you don't want to pick a fight with China. So my problem with the Americans, particularly Obama administration, is that yes, good that they focus on multilateralism, but sometimes they're just giving too much leeway to China, which is being opportunistically.
Do you believe that? Really?
That's the way I see it. I think a lot of people share my opinion actually in Washington, D.C., in the East Coast. But with Hillary Clinton, and the Chinese will be very much nervous about her. She was known during her foreign secretary position. She was very tough on the Chinese. She was very forthright in the way we wanted it. And actually, many credit her for being the mind and architect of the military dimension of the pivot. Obama was really Trans-Pacific Partnership. He was really this kind of engaged ASEAN diplomacy guy. But Hillary Clinton was the military pivot person. And so with her presidency, I expect more of that. Well, if you look at Trump and Bernie Sanders, well, I think Bernie Sanders is great for U.S., but both of them have kind of a neo-isolationist kind of tendencies of let these allies take care of themselves. It's not our problem. Let's take care of our own problems. So maybe for an American, Hillary is not the best.
Okay.
But as a Filipino, I think she's the best for us.
All right. Now, you have to answer this quickly. We don't have enough time.
Sure.
But I was going to ask you, how should President Duterte deal with the United States? I mean, during the Pinoy administration, we saw a more pro-American approach in terms of even the tenor and the tone of our foreign policy, and not just that, with the Department of Foreign Affairs as well. You know, we were pivoted really towards our U.S. ties. How should he do it?
Well, I think we have to shift back to what Ramos administration and our administration did, which was equilateral balancing. The idea that we're a small power, you don't want to be bargained between two big giants, right?
So GMA and FVR did that.
Of course, GMA did it more controversially, but I think FVR did it very well. Remember in 1994, they took away the mischief from us. He welcomed back the Americans through the Visiting Forces Agreement, but he also talked directly to China, to Jiang Zemin, among others. He also brought in ASEAN. So he had this multi-dimensional approach whereby it was not clear he was siding with one camp against the other. I think it's more difficult to do that, of course, because of the things that China have been doing. And let's be fair to the Aquino administration, but I think that on the rhetoric, we have to be a little bit more careful with China. I think that it's also important that we put a healthy distance between ourselves and all these great powers. Let's be honest, these guys are there for themselves, not for us. So let's not be naive. I think we were a little bit naive in the last few years, thinking the Americans are really going to be our knight in shining armor. But those guys have big interest when it comes to China, and they have to take care of that. So if we're going to move back to more of an FVR kind of strategy of equilateral balancing and done with the right foreign secretary, I'm hearing the name of Gibo Chodoro or Esperon, among others, or perhaps Cayetano down the year.
I think it's Pia Cayetano. That's one name. Pia Cayetano. Would that work?
I think if you put the right person as foreign secretary, who's not seen as pro-American or pro-Chinese, I think that's a better way to move forward. I think this is what smaller countries should do. Vietnam has been doing this. Singapore have been doing this. I think that's what also we should do. But I don't think any Filipino position is in a position to sever ties with China. With U.S., I'm sorry, because U.S. is extremely popular with the security establishment, with the wonk, and with the people, right? And remember, Duterte is seen as a little bit close to the left, so it's not good for him if he's seen too much bad with the U.S. So he also has to make sure that he reassures everyone that he's not an anti-American. He just wants to protect our national interest by having healthy distance with the
All right. Now, when it comes to local politics, I wanted to ask you, you have Joma Sison, who said he expresses interest to come back to the Philippines and finally talk peace. Under a Duterte administration, do you see more hope in terms of, let's say, peace with the CPP, NPA, and peace with the MILF, given his personality?
I think he's the right person to deal with peace issues in Mindanao. He understands different rebel groups. He understands their history. They respect him. And now as a Philippine head of state, he actually can bring different groups together and push for peace. Remember, before Mama Sapano season, he was openly saying that maybe the CPP, NPA is also open to negotiations. Unfortunately, after the Mama Sapano tragedy, the MILF negotiations break down, and concomitantly also the negotiations with the communist groups. But now that you have a person like Duterte who is respected by all of these people and understands their predicament, I think we're in a better position to deal with this problem. Perhaps better than any other president we have had in recent times.